Before we get into the tests, let's briefly touch on the difference between clippers and limiters so you know how each one affects the sound of your tracks. I've always found it easiest to think about how these two different processes affect the transients of a waveform first, so I'll throw some visuals on screen to help you better understand the differences between the two. Starting with limiters, these are gain reduction circuits that work by pulling down the peaks and raising the lowest parts of an audio signal to help better control the overall sound, whereas clippers will abruptly cut off the very peaks of your transients through distortion. However, clippers come in two different forms, hard clipping and soft clipping. A soft clipper is a particular kind of clipper designed to round off the peaks of an audio signal rather than abruptly cutting them off. This produces analog style clipping, resulting in a smoother sound compared to harsh digital clipping. So for test 1, I've got a simple acoustic drum beat. I'll start off with the unprocessed track, which will then go from hard clipping to soft clipping and then limited. Each track has been level matched, so you won't be tricked by any change in volume, and the processing has been slightly exaggerated to, in theory, highlight the differences between each example. So to me, I actually found the differences between the clipped and limited drums to be more subtle than I initially thought they'd be. I do hear differences between the three processed tracks, but they weren't as apparent as I thought they'd be. To my ear, the hard clipped drums definitely sounded the most distorted, which checks out from what we discussed earlier, whilst the differences between the soft clipped and limited drums I found to be harder to pick up on. I think listening closely to the limited drums, you can hear that the hi-hat almost sounds like it's being hit harder, which makes sense given that the limiter is pushing up the quieter parts of the signal too, whereas the snare in the soft clipped track sounds a little more punchy, and the limited one sounds more roomy to my ear. But what did you think? Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below, as I'd love to hear how you may have perceived these sounds differently to me. We're going to do one final test, this time on vocals, but instead of telling you which track is a hard clipped, soft clipped and limited version, I'm going to make this a blind test and you can leave your guesses in the comment section. I'll start out with the unprocessed version like before, so you have something to reference first, and then I'll mix up the order of the next three tracks. I'll label these A, B and C, and you'll have to let me know which one you think is the soft clipped, hard clipped and limited versions.
This feels like a war zone. What are we fighting for? This feels like a war zone. What are we fighting for? This feels like a war zone. What are we fighting for? This feels like a war zone. What are we fighting for?
Before you go, as a producer and engineer who's tried countless options to improve my mixes, nothing works better than the Sage Audio membership. It's the only platform that actually delivers results, and it's an incredible experience. The membership includes unlimited mixing feedback, direct one-on-one mentorship, in-depth mixing and mastering courses, 50 free mastered songs per year, and a lot more. Every day I see huge wins in the membership, from producers and engineers noticing a massive improvement in their mixes after joining. Use the link in the description to see if the Sage Audio membership is the right fit for you.